Earlier today, Rassie Erasmus confirmed that there were 4 major injuries to the squad who played Australia last weekend. In this video, I want to break down not only how it's going to affect them, what changes are going to need to be made, and I also want to give you my predicted starting 23 for the upcoming game, which I believe is going to be released tomorrow, 1 p.m. UK time. So please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And let's get into it. Now, earlier today, Rassie Erasmus, in his interview, he did not want to give out the starting 23 for the upcoming game. Couple technicalities to it, but I do believe that is going to be released tomorrow, 1 p.m. UK time. But what he did give us a little bit of insight into was the players that were injured. Now, in his post-match conference after the Australia game, he did say that obviously everybody had already known who they are going to be, who's going to be playing in the upcoming game. But because of the absolute hiding that they were given by Australia, things have changed. There's been a couple changes being made, but not only that, there were 4 players that were injured, and these are relatively key players. So first up, it's Pieter-Steph du Toit. He picked up a knock. Same thing with Kolisi. Same thing with Edwill van der Merwe, and then Arendse. Now, Edwill van der Merwe, he has been in spectacular form, and it is a shame to see him get injured. He's actually he doesn't actually get injured that often. He's actually one of the Lions' more consistent players and effective players. So it is a bit of a shame to see him getting injured after he's been on such a good form, but he didn't play well in the last game. And even if he was fit, I couldn't see him starting, especially with the likes of Cheslin Kolbe coming back into the into the fray and being fully fit. So Edwill is out. Arendse, he is more of a big blow. I really do love the way he plays, and it's a shame not to have him. Hopefully he does recover relatively quickly, but obviously we do have replacements in that position. Next is Pieter-Steph du Toit and Kolisi. These guys are monsters along the back row, and it is a real shame to see them out injured. Kolisi just came back from injury. Pieter-Steph du Toit, World Player of the Year, is also now out injured. So we are going to be without him. So along the back row, there's going to need to be a big amount of changes. Pieter-Steph and Kolisi are not that easy to replace. Yes, we do have adequate replacements, but can you truly replace someone of Pieter-Steph du Toit's quality along that number seven position? And the same thing with Kolisi, who is normally so dominant at 6 and very strong when it comes down to that number 8 position. So it is a shame to see them out. The Springboks are going to need to now play their best squad. They're going to need to gain as much momentum, and they're going to need to come in as physically strong as possible. Now, I really hope that the Springboks go back to their best, back to the basics. I want to be seeing the Springboks go back to what they do best. Enforce strong dominance when it comes down to the scrums, when it comes down to the lineouts. I think they only had around 60% of their lineouts won in the last game, which is horrible. It is really, really horrible, with over 20 missed tackles. I think it was around 26 tackles missed. That is unlike the Springboks, and a lot is going to need to be changed if we do want to get the best out of this next game. Now, if there's anything you guys do know about the Springboks, they are always best when they have their backs against the wall. A lot of people do tend to say, oh, you just talk. No, the Springboks normally tend to work very, very well under pressure. But this is going to be a very, very important game, and they are going to need to win by a fairly good margin to have any hope at getting back to that number 1 spot. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The Springboks, in my opinion, they deserved to lose that game, and I think it might actually do them good to have lost that game. Especially when it comes down to that confidence, getting that fire back into their backsides, and really showing, yes, they are flawed, yes, they are not perfect, yes, they can lose. So this next game is going to be just that much more important. That game is now going to become just as important as the Eden Park game later on this year, right? So Rassie's going to have a lot of thinking to do. How he's going to change up the squad, I don't know. I really hope that they go back to that pure, raw physicality, not want to play Australia's game, get stuck in, start forcing errors, and start slowing the game down. Because once the Aussies get on the roll, they have Jorgensen, they have Peach, they have, Wright, who just made a mockery of the Boks. So I can definitely see a lot of changes happening. Now I want to give you guys my starting 23 for the upcoming game, and then I want to hear what your thoughts are before Rassie does release it tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon. So please check this out. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. First, I'm going Ox, Malcolm Marx, and then Vincent Koch. I think Marinus van der Merwe has a very, very good shot at being there. I think he has a very, very big shot at starting. I do think Marks will still start the game because of his experience, because of what he does bring. And I think having these three up front is going to be an absolute nightmare for the Wallabies. In terms of my back row, I'm going Eben Etzebeth, Franco Mostert, excellence, above board, experience, brilliant line-out callers, big physical monsters. They know how to get the best out of a game. So I'm going with these two. Obviously, Ron Nogia, you could definitely step in at that number 5, but I do feel Mostert does need a chance. He needs his time to come back and show what he's made of. So that's my lock pairing. In terms of my back row, this was more of a difficult situation as to who I was going to end up choosing. But in terms of my number 6, I'm going Marco van Staden. My 7, I am going to be putting in Jean-Luc Dupria. And then 8, I'm going at Kobus Wiese. Now, Kobus Wiese, he's normally a lock. The Boks, they ended up experimenting with Georgia, where they played Kobus as a number 8. I actually quite liked it, and I think they might actually end up going for the same thing. He's big, he's physical, he's got all the attributes of a lock, and he is he's very agile. So he works very, very well as that 8 as well. So having a monster of his size definitely will go a very long way, especially if the Boks do want to play a very physical and imposing game. Having someone like Kobus, who's like, 6'5", 6'6", will definitely go a long way. In terms of my backs, I think Grant Williams keeps his spot. Obviously, there is Kobus Reinach, who could potentially fill in, but I am going to give it again to Grant Williams, my number 10. I am going Pollard all day long. Manie Libbok, I think he showed that he's a liability. Pollard, I think you get a lot more consistency, and if we do need to get those important, crucial points through kicks, I would feel much more confident having Pollard in instead of Manie Libbok. So personally, I'm going Grant Williams at 9, Handré Pollard at 10. In terms of the wingers, knowing Rassie, what he was saying, he wanted to give players like Ethan Hooker, and he wanted to be giving like Kanan Moody more chances potentially starting. I can definitely see Ethan Hooker maybe getting on the bench, but with Cheslin there, I do feel that the Springboks are going to play a 6-2 split. So I don't think there's going to be much space for Ethan Hooker, but I'm going Kanan Moody at 11. I'm going Colby at 14. And then in terms of my centers, I'm going Damian Dialende and then Jesse Creel. Dialende, one of the players that are coming back after picking up a little knock, and I think he is going to be a center. He's going to be crucial. Again, Andre Esterhuizen didn't exactly have the most confidence boosting game, and I think Dialende, he brings that excellent passing range. He's such an underrated passer. He's brilliant ball carrying skills, that knowledge of knowing where to be, when to be, and he's a big, big thing. And having that Creel Dialende partnership is going to be crucial to really getting the best out of the Springboks, especially going forward in this upcoming game. And then in terms of my 15, I am going Willie Leroux. So again, that experienced mind, that calmness, that sense of leadership, that ability to slow the game down, that ability to bring players into the game, that ability to run with the ball, but not only that, that ability to release pressure. on the squad is going to be essential. I do feel that Afelele Fassi was horrible when it came down to his defense. He had a lot to work on. He was here, there, and everywhere. He wasn't centered. He wasn't focused. And I think this is something we are going to get with Willie Leroux, even in with his age. This guy, he does not age like normal human beings, and he's playing like he's 29, 30 years old. So I'm giving that to Willie Leroux. In terms of my bench, I'm going Marnus, Ntlabakanye, Wilco Low, Luid de Jager, Ruan Nogia, Kobus Reinach, Damian Willemse, and then I'm not 100% certain on who I will end up playing, but there's so many different opportunities. I think we could potentially see, but I do think if Rassie's going to play a 5-3, Ethan Hooker might be able to get into that final spot because he can play 14, he can play a little bit of 11, he can play 13 as well, and 12. So Ethan Hooker definitely is an option there. But personally, I think we're going to go for a 6-2, and we're going to end up playing someone like Kwagga Smith if he doesn't start the game. But I feel Kwagga, he does better coming into a game and giving that energy, giving that burst of life. So yeah, that last spot that I'm going to give, I'm going to give to Kwagga. So let me know what your thoughts are. Please let me know what your starting 23 would be in the comment section below. And yeah, what do you think the game's score is going to be? I think the Springboks are going to come away with this. This is me being ever Springbok and ever hopeful. But if they do play a squad that I think they are going to end up playing, we're going to see a very physical and dominant presence, dominating presence from the Springboks to really start controlling that game and shutting down all of those inside lines, and the Wallabies using those outside channels to really break down the Springboks. So drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.